about not being an eloquent conversationalist.
I mean, I have that fear every single time I start a podcast. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, every single, especially with bands, because it's like strangers. This one at least is kind of like, which is my friends, so
Yeah.
it's like easy to talk to. Because you just have a conversation, like a conversation that we have anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But like in the other one, it seems like I'm more kind of the one who's in charge, and I have to, which, because I am, like, really, but it's just, and also they're strangers, and like obviously my brain has farts sometimes, and it's just like, yeah.
Yep.
So every almost before every single group talk, I still get pretty nervous. So I mean, that's fair.
Yeah.
I guess it was like a year since the last time we did this.
Is that it?
A bit over a year, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Seems like longer.
Yeah. It seems longer, but like it also doesn't. Like.
Yeah.
Because I mean, the last time you were here, I think I was still living upstairs.
Yeah. We did it in the living room area up there.
Yeah, we were painting and.
Right.
Because, yeah, you came over the night before and we had, like, an awesome conversation. Then you came over the next day and we recorded the conversation. And it was, like, it was fine, but it was, like, the conversation we had the night before was, like...
It was really good and fluent and impassioned.
Yeah, Chester has no concept of personal space.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's kind of funny, like... Because there's obviously some people who don't like cats, but... When those people are over and Chester jumps up on them, it's like they're like, what do I do with this?
I can't understand that. Oh. He's the perfect cat to me.
Yeah, that's because you don't live with him. He's kind of an asshole sometimes. Like he's fine. Like he doesn't. It's mostly when he's meowing at like 6 a.m.
Yeah.
He has a pretty let's say piercing meow.
Yeah.
That
cats make strange noises in the middle of the night.
They do. Yeah, they do. Like it gives me a small amount of comfort to know that it's not just my cat who does this.
Yeah.
That like most cats I've lived with make random noises in the middle of the night. So.
I haven't had a cat for quite some time, but growing up, I just remember like the freaky noises in the middle of the night, like the. Don't even sound like they should be coming from your cat at all.
Yeah, when Jordy's cat Miles used to live here, just the sounds that would come out, like he would wake you up and then it'd be like meow, meow.
Yeah.
You're like, what's happening? Are you okay? Like
no, it sounds like they're dying.
Yeah, and you walk downstairs and then they just look at you and you're like,
what?
And I'm like, are you serious right now? You're looking at me like I'm the stupid one. And you're making these noises. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah.
Cats, man.
Have you ever thought about integrating video?
Yeah.
Into the podcast?
I have, but I am not very proficient with video. And.
Like editing?
Yeah.
And shit?
Personally, I think it would be a little too much for me to handle because it would require some like additional stuff because like right now I just use Ableton and I'm sure there's maybe a way that you can integrate video into Ableton, but I'm not sure. And I guess it's just like I do upload them to YouTube, but I just make stupid little slideshows with Windows Movie Maker.
Yes. I like the ones where the words highlight as you say them.
Yeah.
I kind of take the little clips like that.
Yeah. I've tried to... Oh, yeah. I make those with... there's this website called Audiogram.
Oh.
Yeah, and you can just basically... That's all it is you can take images and then take audio clips and basically just transcribe them together. And
does it auto-detect when that word is being said, or do you program like the timing of it?
It auto-detects it, so it auto-transcribes it, but then it's not perfect, obviously, so usually you have to go back and fix some things.
Yeah.
So you just have to like fix some words, and then when you fix the words, you have to fix the timing as well. But it's pretty.
Even the words that are being said.
Sorry.
It'll try to like close caption what's
Yeah.
being said automatically too, and do the timing. Oh, that's
yeah,
pretty neat.
yeah. It's pretty. It's only up to a minute clip, but like that's still pretty cool for like what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's free, for the most part. Like you can pay for it, but
If you want longer segments of audio,
if you want more, so you get like 1 credit per month. They give you 5 credits to start, and each credit gives you 1 audiogram. And then you get like 1 per month after that or something like that. So you can only make a certain amount per month. But if you want like unlimited, I believe, then you can just you pay for it. You get unlimited credits. So yeah, those are kind of cool. They're interesting and neat, and yeah.
Yeah, those grab my attention. I think those are a good idea.
Really?
Yeah,
That's
for
good.
some just like watching the text highlight as you listen along
Yeah.
makes it like stand out so much more for me at least. I don't know.
Yeah, that's good to know, because most of the time I'm just kind of throwing stuff onto the internet and being like, I hope this catches people's attention.
Yeah.
Like, I have no idea. Like, you can't base it off the amount of like likes and stuff you get or anything like
No.
that. So it's like kind of hard to make engaging content.
Yes, I understand.
Yes. Is there anything that like you do for your bands or anything
Not
in that regard?
nearly enough.
Yeah.
I just got a recommendation from a friend
Yeah.
on this course all about like marketing that's really apparently explains it really, really well and has a proven plan. I don't know, you see these things for marketing marketed to you
Yeah.
all the time, or at least me in my own little marketing bubble.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm not making sense.
No, you are.
Basically, maybe because it knows I'm in bands and stuff
Yeah.
and mixed music, it like tells me like, oh, this is how you can be more successful in marketing. So it's marketing for marketing.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Yes,
you're like,
but-
are you just selling me something? It's like, are you just really good at marketing and like I'm gonna sign up and not learn anything? Like,
Yes. I've seen a couple that said that they have like foolproof strategies for reaching your audience and stuff, but
yeah.
I don't know. My friend speaks highly about one of these courses.
Yeah. Did they actually go through it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess they've done a bunch of it,
Okay.
and so it might be worth. I just started playing drums, and that's just what I wanted to do. But I should pay more attention. I should have started paying attention to that kind of thing a lot earlier.
Yeah. I mean, I hate doing that stuff personally. I hate doing all the whole social media thing and being like, hey, look at me, I'm doing stuff, but like you have to do it.
I know.
And it's really, I don't know, it's hard not to get caught up in it too, you know what I mean? Like the whole social media thing. When you post something that you are passionate about and that you put a lot of work and time into, and you put it onto social media and you're like, there we go. And then you get like 2 likes or something and you're like, why does nobody care about me?
Yeah, totally.
It's just, it's weird. You kind of have to like almost just post it and just leave it, you know what I mean? Don't check it. And that's what I've been trying to do recently. It's kind of just like, just post it, let the people know, and then just fuck off, you know? Like, don't go and... I used to, post it, and then an hour later I would check it to see who's engaging with it or whatever, and now I just, like, post it, and I just leave it, and I'm like, people will figure it out, I guess. So.
Yeah.
Also, it's just way more... better for my mental health.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
So...
Yeah. There's still a sick side of me that like likes to look at who liked my posts, and I'm just curious to see. And I know a lot of people are just like who saw it, who cares, and like, oh, this person, that's nice. But I don't feel like I have a lot hinged on that.
Yeah, I still definitely do that. I still like look and to see, because I like to know. I like to know who is engaging with it and stuff like that, and really just who like it's reaching too, because you never know with social media algorithms and stuff like that. So, but I've just gotten better about it, because I used to like that could like maybe make or break my day in the past, you know what I mean? Like I'd post something and then it would like not hit, and I'd be like, why am I such a failure? Why am I even doing this? And then like That happened a couple times, and I just had to remind myself, like, no, like, it's fine. At least you're doing the thing, and you do this because you like to do it. You're not doing it for any other reason. You're not doing it to be famous. You're not doing it to... You're doing it because you enjoy it.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So...
Yes, I'm pretty much... Just, like, I'm basically done mixing Metavor's first album.
Yeah.
Like, and it's taken so much hard work, like a ridiculous amount of hard work over a very long period of time, and it's going to be done, and we're going to put it out there, and I already know no one's really going to give a shit. Like, it's one of the biggest accomplishments of my life, I feel. But I already know, like, no one really cares that much. So yeah, I feel like you can do more. You can make people care a little more, or get it out there to people who want to care about it, you know, and they just have no idea that it exists. At least I'd like to believe that's a possibility.
Yeah. Well, that's the trick too. It's like, how do you get it to the people who do care? You know what I mean?
Guess I have to take this course.
Yeah, I guess.
Foolproof strategies.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, because like all the stuff that I've been doing this for over 3 years now. Like all the stuff that it is kind of, I never thought I would stick with this that long. So this podcast in particular has had like its peaks and valleys, like you know, going strong every month and then 6-month break, and then going strong for a couple months, then 6-month break, and so I'm trying to really commit myself to, I'm releasing one per month now. So
Sweet.
Like I've committed, and I'm like
this segment or.
Yeah, of this is Your Brain On podcast.
Yes.
It's the last Wednesday of every month. There will be an episode of This Is Your Brain On podcast.
Sweet.
And I've like made that commitment to myself. So
that's good. That's a very clear goal.
Yeah. I've actually found that like having like the kind of that clearness with it. Like I set when I'm going to release, so I'm doing 2 Groove Talks per month. The first Wednesday and the third Wednesday of the month, and then one This Is Your Brain On podcast per month, the last Wednesday of every month. Mm-hmm. And I've set like that schedule, and it's actually helped me a lot just to like kind of unjumble, because like, you know, when you're doing stuff like this, it kind of becomes a jumble, and I felt like I was being very reactive almost, you know what I mean? Like I would get an interview, I would edit it real quick, and I felt like I had to get them out there really quickly. So I was reactive, but now I'm kind of like more like proactive. You know what I mean? Like, I'm in control of it.
Yes.
You know? It's like, this is when it's coming out. Like, no matter when I do the interview with the band or whatever, I let them know, I'm like, this is when it's coming out.
You have your deadlines.
Yeah.
And you just make sure it gets done.
And
you have a clear goal in sight and a timeline. Yeah.
Exactly.
I hear good things about that strategy.
Yeah. Who would have thunk it?
It's like, I need to get all these things done. I'll just get around to them when I can, and...
Yeah.
That's that. But I don't think that's not nearly as motivating.
Mm-mm. And you kind of get overwhelmed, and then nothing ends up getting done because you don't know where to start. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When you have like a kind of an outline like this, at least, it kind of prioritizes things a little bit.
Yeah.
So that's kind of good too.
Yeah. I've become a lot better.
Yeah.
Like I don't set really like time deadlines. I have a big to-do list separated into categories, and then I choose which one is the highest priority.
Yeah.
And then when I have the time to work on that, really my life is separated into production, drums, and life.
Yeah.
And then I choose the top priority for each, and then I kind of have like designated times set aside to spend on those things.
Yeah.
And then I do the number one priority thing.
Yeah.
On that list.
So by designated time, do you mean like you like chisel out a chunk of the day then, or like you like for example, like say 3 to 6 I'm working on drums or whatever, or is it like rigid like that, or is it more kind of...
No, it's even looser than that, I guess.
Yeah,
it's like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday I know I'm working for most of the day from like 8 till at least 6, sometimes longer.
Yeah.
And then I get home and then I see how I'm feeling. Sometimes I'm just totally wiped and burnt out and I can't work on something. But other times I can like get some mixing stuff done or some production stuff done. Yeah. And then really Thursday to Sunday, I know I have a lot of free time during the day, so I usually get up first thing on Thursday and then I start working on something production-wise, like right away. And because it's just like Thursday mornings are like a production time, and that's what happens then. So it just kind of cycles. There's like a weekly cycle.
Okay.
I find that I go through.
Yeah.
And jams are scheduled with the different bands and stuff.
Yeah.
I really need to practice drums more. See, I need to set a time for that to happen.
Yeah.
No matter what.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've kind of been toying with that as well, like trying to set aside, because like I have goals that I would like to accomplish, and I kind of, I'm trying to set aside time. Like I would like to, write every day or something like that. Get a little bit of time of writing it every day, and I'm trying to chisel out those times, but I'm just finding it really kind of difficult to be consistent.
Totally. Things come up, and even if you have a time set aside, like every day, like that you could have to do something else during that time, or things happen. Life isn't chaotic.
Yeah, and also with energy levels and stuff after work and stuff, it's kind of hard to do shit sometimes. And,
it's good to recognize too when you need to rest.
Yeah,
that's something I can still struggle with. If I feel like I rest for too long, there's this guilt about not being productive enough.
Yeah,
which I'm sure we've talked about before.
Probably, but I mean, like, I definitely feel like, sometimes I'll take a weekend and I'll just chill or whatever, and I get absolutely nothing done, and I end up kind of feeling bad about that,
Yeah, exactly.
Which I shouldn't. Sometimes I should, but like most of the time I shouldn't.
How far is too far?
Exactly.
I don't know.
It's like kind of finding that balance, you know what I mean? Because if that's every weekend, then maybe you should feel bad.
Yeah.
But like, if it's every once in a while, then it's okay. You do need those rest days. Like,
yeah, but how do you gauge? It's hard to gauge if it's too much and if your guilt is justified or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just want better things faster, I think, or to feel growth, or like an inclination upwards.
Yeah.
Faster than maybe it's realistic.
Yeah. Well, like, that's the thing is, like, most of the people who you look at who are successful or are more successful, they've been doing it, like, just forever, Like, that's kind of I found the more that I listen to people's stories and, like, because, I listen to a lot of podcasts, obviously, and there's a lot of, people just kind of go through their stories, like, successful people tell you what they did, and most of the time it's just, like, I just put my head down and I just worked. And, like, it's such an unglamorous truth about, like, how to do things, but it's just, like, you just have to put in the work, like. And unfortunately, that sometimes means, sacrificing other things, like sacrificing your free time, sacrificing your chill time, your relaxing time, and maybe even hanging out with your friends or whatever, which is something I value a lot. And
that's the sacrifice I don't make enough, but I am totally willing to make when the opportunity arises.
Yeah, like hanging out with sacrificing hanging out with your friends? Or?
No, like sacrificing productive time to hang out with my friends, because usually it's the other way around.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Relationships are important too.
Oh, yeah, but sure.
I'm sure I do a lot of sacrificing of relationships because I'm trying to be productive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's fair. Like, I guess it's all about priorities, maybe, and not saying that you don't prioritize your relationships, but it's kind of like you also have, life goals and stuff like that. And what are your life goals?
Oh, man.
That's a big question, I know.
This is a throwback to last time, I feel like.
Really?
That's okay. A reevaluation, perhaps. That's intense purring.
Yeah. Dude, he's so happy. I don't know if the people can hear this, but it would make sense if they could.
There's some crazy purring going on right now. Yeah, I don't know how audible it is, but not to avoid the question, but I guess to keep learning, keep growing, to feel like I'm growing, advancing, being true to my needs, my wants and needs, spreading love. I don't know. It's hard to measure.
Yeah, it is.
Success.
I agree with you, because like the more I've thought about it, about like kind of life goals and stuff like that, the more I've thought to broaden them a little bit. It's not like, it's not connected to any one thing. Like, it's not connected to the podcast or whatever, anything that I do. It's more like my goal is to, again, it has to do with building communities, you know what I mean? The communities that are around me, the communities that exist outside of my inner communities, you know what I mean? Like, just kind of helping foster communities and build those up as best I can. Because I think it's really important, and I think it's something that our society today kind of lacks.
Yeah, I bet. I was just thinking about how you do your podcast and stuff, and how we need more people like you doing the kind of thing you do, because it does foster that sense of community. And like, just because you're not like some kind of artist within like the music scene, for example, doesn't mean that like you're not contributing to the scene as a whole. It's arguably more valuable than like some random musician. Like,
well, thank you.
You're like more behind the scenes kind of guy that does a lot for the community.
Yeah, and that's what I've kind of tried to position myself as, I guess, is just basically somebody who's going to tell the story of the bands within the community, within the local music scene. Because I don't think there's as much dedication to that. There's obviously other outlets out there and stuff like that, but it's just really, it's really cool to hear when people tell me like, oh, like, thank you so much for having us. This was the first podcast we've ever done, whatever. Like, that's just, like, I love hearing that. And it still kind of blows me away, too, because I'm like, wow, thank you so much for actually coming over and sitting in my basement. Yeah. Like, I still feel like it's, why would anybody want to talk to me? I'm just some random dude. Like,
oh, man. You give people the opportunity, and it seems like something really cool. I guarantee some bands have been really excited just at the opportunity.
And it's cool, and I like that, because it's fun to talk to people, and that's one of the main things that I definitely learned about doing, like, through doing this, is it's just fun to talk to people in general. Like, it's not always easy, and I used to struggle with, like, social anxiety, like, real hard, and I still do, obviously. Like we talked about, I still get nervous whenever bands come over, but, like, it's crazy how quickly that melts away as soon as you get into a conversation. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I just always assume I'm going to become brain dead as soon as I try to start talking, but it's not usually how it works out in reality.
Yeah. And, like, don't get me wrong, I still have my moments where it's like, I'm not the best communicator in public, but I don't know.
And that's what editing's for, too.
Yeah. I've become real good at editing audio. Yeah. So.
Oh, I'd like to add to my life goals is make cool shit and continue to make cooler shit as time goes on. Or be a part of making cool shit with a team, probably.
Yeah.
A lot of the time.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Well, because I guess that's like what a band is, essentially. It's a collaborative effort of making cool shit.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just the music itself means a lot to me. It's nice that I can make money from it sometimes, but, like, nothing trumps just, like, cool music that makes me feel very deeply. Yeah.
I agree. And that's also kind of why I started doing my other podcast, Groove Talk, because there's just a lot of really cool music that I think people should be listening to. Like, I find stuff, I'm like, how are people not listening to this? This is so good. And one of my favorite things is just finding really cool music and, like, listening to really cool music and just being kind of blown away by music. That's one of my favorite experiences, whether it be live or whether it be listening to an album or something that I've never heard before. Like, I love that feeling of just hearing music and just being blown away by it.
Totally.
it's like one of the coolest feelings.
Yeah, that feeling when you find a new artist and you're just listening like, what? Like, oh my goodness, I cannot believe this is this good. And sometimes, like, with how accessible the world is now, like, you find these really, for some reason, unpopular artists or bands that are so insanely talented, and you're like, why? There's this French, like, fusion jazz band called Shobe, and, like, I just assume they were huge because they're so good, but then I look and they get like 500 views on their videos and stuff, like, and I'm like, what? How did more people not know about you? Like, they're
no, definitely. And like there's musicians in the city who I feel that way about too. Like, there's just it's because I think there's just so much out there now. Like, you do have basically unlimited access to the world's talent, musical talent. If you're posting it online, you can find it, and it can be hard to sort through all the things that I guess are out there, and find those things. Find the really cool things. And
there's a lot of stuff I'm not into.
As
well.
Definitely that.
And it's hard to filter through just everything that's out there and to find something that resonates with you.
And like, as bad as this sounds, because like I might be a part of this statement, but there's just a lot of mediocre stuff out there too, you know what I mean? Like,
that's I hate saying it too, and I wish it was just all positive all the time, but like, the truth is I'm scared to go to local shows all the time, or a lot of the time, because I'm often just so bored at local shows, and I want to be a bigger supporter, and there are a lot of insanely talented people in our city. But also maybe a lot of people who are just really inexperienced or getting started or haven't figured everything out yet, haven't found their sound kind of thing. Are just not very good, shouldn't be doing this kind of thing. I don't know. But
it can be hard for sure.
I feel rude putting that out in public, but
I feel like people need to hear it.
Sometimes local bands are not good.
A
lot of the time.
It's true, but like, that's because those are the bands that are just getting started. You know what?
And that was definitely me. At one point too. So like, my band's probably still bad.
No.
So I'm a big hypocrite.
No, I think you played some really good bands.
Thank you.
You play in 4 bands?
It's down to 3, I guess, now.
3? Oh, okay.
At the moment.
I see. Fermented Beat Orchestra, Metavore, and
Matt Blaze.
Okay. Well, those all, I haven't actually listened to Matt Blaze, but Metavore and Fermented Beat Orchestra are phenomenal. So.
Sweet. Okay. That's your opinion.
I was actually blown away the first time I saw Fermented Beat Orchestra. Like, that, I was not expecting that at all, and I was like, this is so fucking cool.
Yeah, just a bunch of weirdos.
But that's like, it makes great music.
Like, that's your opinion. I'm not gonna sit here and suck my own dick or anything. You can think what you want.
That's fair. I also hate giving myself any sort of props.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Or even accepting props from other people. I'm like, no, but please tell me how bad this is and how I can fix it.
I'm not looking for praise. Please tell me what I need to do to be better.
Please. I could use some constructive criticism here.
I know.
But that being said, it's also kind of hard for people, especially your friends, who don't necessarily even like have a knowledge about the thing that you are doing to give you constructive criticism. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, like they may not have that insight at all.
Yeah.
Or have the vocabulary. That totally makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it was the tagline from our last podcast where it's like what you closed out with. It was just like, just remember, these are just barely thought out opinions by two not very opinionated guys.
Yeah, I remember that.
It's like that summed up like that whole conversation and just like my life in general. Because
yeah. I have opinions. I just don't feel crazy strong about many things.
Yeah, same here. Like I have opinions, and I've learned more over the years to, instead of being so kind of wishy-washy on things, maybe have opinions a bit more. But I'm not attached to those opinions. You know?
Yeah, I want to be swayed.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
I know I'm a pretty liberal person, but I'll still like read the conservative platform every time and just be like, yeah, I still hate it, but but I'll consider it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Like I listen to like two of my favorite podcasters hold completely opposing viewpoints, you know what I mean? And they like have debates and stuff and don't agree, and I'm like, but I agree with both of you.
Yeah.
So where are you guys getting lost here?
Yeah. How? That's a paradox.
Yeah. So how do you find the time to do all the stuff you do?
Do I?
Do
I find the time?
I don't know.
That's a good question. I guess it's a matter of priority as well. Well, working 3 days a week helps a lot.
Yeah.
So that's been a big thing for over 4 years.
Yeah.
I've only worked Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And they can be longer days, and that's fine. I enjoy that work. But then I have literally 4 out of the 7 days in a week to do whatever I want.
Mm-hmm.
I have some regularly scheduled jams. Basically, like, shows hold like big top priority, and whenever I get a show, like, that's what I'm gonna do. And I'll like often cancel other plans if I get a show. I'll be, oh, sorry, I can't make it. I have to work.
Mm-hmm.
I have to go play this show.
Mm-hmm.
And then 4 days is a long time.
Yeah.
Even if you are doing some things, to be able to sit at my computer or sit at my drums and just chip away at stuff, and it's just having the motivation to actually spend the time doing it.
Mm.
Like, it's great. I often drive my girlfriend to work in the morning, and then I'm already like awake, and I just like get cracking right at like 8 a.m.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like Thursdays and Fridays a lot of the time. I mean, I don't know, maybe it seems like I do more than I do.
I think you're doing a lot.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you're doing the mixing, the playing of drums, you play in 3 bands, you work, not a full-time job, but you work a job. So, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
How do you find the motivation to get yourself going? Is it just like kind of come naturally? Or?
Oh no, not for most of my life.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you don't have good mental health and you're not trying to take good care of yourself, and it becomes a lot more difficult. But over time, I learned like getting enough sleep and eating decently and not smoking a bunch of weed. Or for me, not smoking any weed is the most helpful thing. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it becomes a lot easier to be motivated and productive when you're in healthy mental and physical shape, I guess. Mm-hmm. And that, I don't know, yeah, there's just this like passion that burns within me for music. I just can't get enough of nasty riffs. So I'm compelled, I guess, to some extent. It's not always easy. I don't always feel compelled to practice or to work on stuff. Sometimes it's really difficult, and sometimes I have to make myself, and sometimes I know I should, but I don't, and I do something else.
Yeah.
But I just try as hard as I can, and it doesn't feel like it's enough necessarily, but I just try.
Mm-hmm.
I think discipline is more valuable than motivation too.
Yeah. That's kind of where I was gonna like go with that. Is like, how do you discipline yourself to do it? Like, is there any kind of mental tricks that you do, or are you just forcing yourself? Kind of like.
I think I've just tried to build it into my habits.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think I'm a very disciplined person. I don't think that is one of my skills. But over time, I just tried to make it natural via like habit forming processes, I guess. Yeah.
Fair.
If that makes sense. Like just do it. Like that ties directly to the timing thing.
Yeah.
Like when it's Thursday, this is my default that I need to go mix or produce something.
Yeah.
And so over time I just started doing that every time during that time of day on that day.
Yeah.
And it's somewhat has been pretty successful, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
I guess you have to care enough at a baseline level to want to be motivated or disciplined enough to do it in the first place.
Yeah.
If you really hate it and you've been trying to do this thing for like years, you should probably find something else to do.
Yeah. If you don't love what you're doing, probably find something else.
Yeah. And I feel discouraged a lot and inadequate, but for some reason I just keep going back to it.
Does that like fuel you in any way? Or...
Oh yeah, it certainly can. Like, why can't I make things sound as cool as this person that makes things sound cool?
Yeah.
And then sometimes I just feel like discouraged by that and sad about myself, and other times, it's far more valuable. I'll no, I'm gonna find out why, and I'll try to learn, and I'll try to figure stuff out, even if they may be really difficult or abstract concepts, or take a really long time to develop, like something on drums, like something really, really difficult to play, and it takes months and months to be able to do it all. Yeah, discouragement can be motivating.
Yeah. In a way, I agree. Like, it kind of... I don't know, I get into those kind of discouraging thoughts or whatever, that kind of discouraging mindset, and it kind of almost is a way to remind myself of why I'm doing it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because, like, you kind of start shitting on yourself a little bit, and you're like, oh, I'm never going to be as good as blah, 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 or blah, 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 you know, like, why can't I do this, or why aren't people caring? And then it's just like, okay, and it's like a reset almost. It's like, this is why you're doing it. You're not doing it for those reasons. You're doing it because you love it and you want to do it.
Yes.
It's like kind of what we said before, is it's almost kind of like just does that kind of mental reset thing in my head at least. But it can be really hard at times, and it can be like very like existential dready, if that makes sense. Because it gets me spiraling into thoughts of like, what's the point of life even, you know?
I absolutely felt that some days. Like, I felt like all the musical things in my life are pointless, and I feel like I've lost my purpose.
Yeah.
Someday, and I just feel like garbage all day. Like that, I remember saying like, "There's no point." Mm-hmm. And I do that sounds very dark. I don't mean there's not a point to living or anything, but just like, why am I living the life the way I am? Some days it totally feels like that, and thankfully not many days. But I absolutely know what you mean.
Yeah. Like that's. Yeah, sometimes I'm just like, why am I putting in so much effort to this thing? Like, why am I doing this? And it just, like, spirals down from there. And then you just, like I said, it kind of forces you to have that, like, mental reset of being like, oh, yeah, this is why I do this thing. Like, just remember that. Yeah. Discipline's, I do like what you said there, though, about discipline. Like, it's more about discipline than it is motivation. It's something that I've been trying to kind of cultivate a little bit more in my life. Just the discipline aspect of things.
Yeah, fuck.
It's hard. Yeah.
Yeah. I wish I could say the same, but maybe I should try harder to do that.
Yeah. Actually, because of you, I'm actually thinking of starting to take Friday mornings off of work. Like every Friday I'm going to take the morning off, which is 4 hours, and just devote that to whatever, like whether it be writing or podcasting or something like that.
Yeah,
but
it could change over time.
Yeah.
But that'd be pretty sweet.
Yeah, kind of be... Because it's hard working a full-time job, 8 hours Monday to Friday, and then finding the time, and then also having a social life with like a girlfriend and friends and like family, and finding that time to just kind of do the things. Like, it's easy to record podcasts and, you know, edit those podcasts, because I do that at work actually. Like,
oh, sweet.
Yeah, like on my lunch break, I get an hour for lunch every day, so I take that time and I focus on podcast editing and stuff like that because it's easy for me to do. I pop in my headphones, I eat my lunch, and have my laptop there, and it's something I can do at work. So that's cool, but like I really want to take like a bigger chunk of time just out of the week where like 4 hours would be great, like to start at least, where I could just be like, this is what I'm doing for those 4 hours, you know, I'm working on stuff, like be productive, like don't just fuck around, don't like wake up at 10 and then have to go to work in 2 hours. Like, no, wake up at the regular time and this is what you're doing for this chunk of time. Like, I think that's something I'm definitely going to start. I'm going to try it out next week for the first time.
Sweet.
Yeah.
You can get away with that?
Well, yeah.
You can just be like, hey.
Well, I'm going to talk to my boss, but I'm going to let him know kind of what the lowdown is. But I'm also like, this is all hours I've banked. Like, I have like,
sweet.
Right now, currently, I have like 10 hours of bank time. But I might just start coming in, say, an hour early, Monday to Thursday.
Oh, yeah.
And then take that 4 hours on Friday in the morning and then go in the afternoon or whatever.
Totally.
Yeah. That's something that I think my boss would be fine with, which is the benefit of working for a small company. You know the owner and all the people, and they know you as well, and they know I'm like good for it or whatever. Yes. You know what I mean? So.
Nice.
Yeah. So I definitely want to try that because I think it would be beneficial.
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah.
Everyone should work less.
I agree.
That probably wouldn't be good for the state of the world, I guess.
Yeah.
In a way. Maybe it would be better. I don't know.
I think it would be. I think people would be happier. I think we could at least all get away with doing a 4-day work week. I don't think there's any reason that we all have to be working 5 days a week.
Totally.
Yeah.
Let's get more socialist in that regard, at least.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of hate about socialism lately, but I don't know. There's some pretty great concepts in there, I think.
I agree. I see both sides of it, you know what I mean? I see the negatives, I see the positives. Just like, capitalism, I see the negatives, I see the positives, I think we wouldn't be where we are today if we were not a capitalistic society.
Yeah.
Like with the innovation that happens and where we are at technologically and stuff like that. I don't know if we would be where we are without capitalism or like the free market or whatever.
I think I agree. I just don't feel educated enough on the topic.
Yeah, this is me mostly spouting other people's ideas. Sebastian Junger, he wrote a book. No, Yuval Noah Harari wrote a book called Sapiens. That's what it's called. And he kind of makes that case in that book. And I see where he's coming from. But the bleeding heart liberal in me would desperately wants to advocate for a socialist society.
Yes.
So
it's just none of it's black and white.
No, nothing's black and white.
Except my dog. Which is why I love him. But
because he's simple.
Yeah.
You're easy to understand, dog. You're definitely black and white. Yeah. I mean,
that's something that amazes me every time. I haven't watched many Joe Rogan podcasts, but I have watched a few, and it's just like I feel like he can bullshit his way through topics that he only very loosely understands in a very convincing way. Sometimes not so convincing.
Yeah.
But like he's just confident in how he delivers it. I guess.
Yeah.
And I don't feel comfortable doing that. I don't want to spout off about something I don't know anything about.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to spread misinformation or like have short-sighted beliefs and things. Yeah.
No, I totally get that. And like I've been listening to a lot of Jordan Peterson lately. And just one of the things that he kind of spouts is like, when you're younger and stuff, like almost 95% of the things you say aren't actually your ideas or beliefs. You know what I mean? They're ideas or beliefs that you heard from someone else, and you're kind of spouting them because you're trying to either kind of virtue signal in a way, or like make people think that you're intelligent in a certain way or whatever. And I could definitely see myself doing that a lot when I was younger. You know what I mean?
I'm sure there's still a lot of that within us.
Oh, yeah.
And people our age, or people of all ages.
Yeah.
Really. I mean, how many original thoughts do we really have in a day?
Exactly.
We kind of are like a hive mind in that sense, I guess.
Yeah. You kind of find ideas that you're like, oh yeah, I agree with that.
But
and
yeah.
then you kind of start telling other people about those ideas, you know? It comes up in conversation, and it's not technically your idea, which is fine if you've kind of... I feel as long as you've thought about it and you're not just kind of regurgitating it.
Yeah, you like heard something on the news and you're just like, oh, this is true automatically.
This is fact, yes. Yeah. I feel if you've thought about it and you've determined for yourself that this is true for me,
yes,
it's a different kind of story. Fair. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's not necessarily bad to regurgitate things.
No.
So, yeah, with the what you said.
As long as you thought about it.
Yeah, as long as you thought about it and decided for yourself, like, yes.
Yeah.
This speaks to me, I believe in this, or vice versa.
Mm-hmm. Because I've definitely found myself getting into arguments with people, heated debates, where I was taking a position where I was just spouting off stuff that I had heard on podcasts, and then after thinking about it, after, the whole argument, being like, I don't even know if I believe those positions.
Yeah, totally. Or I've had people being like, oh man, originally there were 4-dimensional beings in Egypt. Like, you see these crazy jumps in technology, and it's because 4-dimensional beings came and like showed them the way, and that's why you see these crazy jumps in technology. And like, I'm thinking of one interaction I had with an old friend, and he's saying this like it's absolute fact.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's fun to think about, but I'm gonna see, and I'm not saying it's not true. I don't really think it's true, but like, I'm not gonna believe it until I have some more proof, I guess.
Yeah.
Is that... No, I don't think it's too skeptical, and I don't even know if I could identify as a skeptic, but I just need enough proof. Mm-hmm. And some people are so willing to believe these crazy things, just because like there was a really convincing documentary that seemed really well researched. Even when like a major newspaper or like a respectable source of publishing makes a statement, like, I'm becoming a lot better at questioning what I see, despite the reputation of where it's coming from.
No, definitely. And I almost envy the people who can be just so sure about those things.
Yeah, wouldn't it be nice?
Yeah, it'd be great.
Oh, yep, that's the way everything is.
Totally,
that's the absolute
beings.
truth. Yes, of course there were 4-dimensional beings.
Yeah. I'm not that way either. Like, I'm open to the possibility of 4-dimensional beings.
Yeah, I would love that.
Yeah,
that sounds cool.
That'd be super cool. If you come to me tomorrow with evidence, I'd be like, that's fucking dope. Sweet.
Yeah, I want that. I just have a hard time believing it too.
But until there's like some sort of evidence, even just like a minor amount of evidence.
Well, I hope they're benevolent 4-dimensional beings too, and they don't want to fuck our shit up.
Yeah definitely. Like, I was listening to a Joe Rogan podcast, and I think his name is Commander Fravor.
Okay.
But he's the guy who was in the fighter jet plane. I don't know if you know about this, but there's like this footage of these like alien spaceship crafts or whatever that look like Tic Tacs, because I guess they're called the Tic Tacs or whatever.
Okay.
But they
seems vaguely familiar.
Yeah, they like are very obviously alien crafts, and Joe Rogan had this guy, Commander Fravor,
the pilot.
Yeah, the pilot of the of the jet plane that tracked these things, and he like listening to him talk for 2 hours. He's just some normal dude who's like, I didn't believe in aliens at all, and then he's like, until I saw this, and you're like, shit, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
like that leans me more towards stuff like someone like that pushes me more towards the idea of that aliens might have visited this world compared to the guy who's just spouting off alien shit and says it's 100% true. You know what I mean?
You made
like,
me think of Alex Jones or something.
Yeah. Exactly. Like, I don't believe anything that Alex Jones says, even though sometimes he's right, which is really crazy.
Yeah, really?
I believe more the guy who's like, you know, I don't know what I saw, or this is what I saw, I don't know what it means, it could mean this. And you're like, oh. Okay.
Yeah, it gives you something to think about, too. He's not making these outlandish claims, but, like, I believe him that he had this experience that he cannot explain.
Yeah.
And it was totally, otherworldly.
Like, I believe those people way more than the people who are so convinced, you know? Like,
oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
But then how do you determine what it actually was?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I think some people have a hard time sleeping at night if they can't come to solid conclusions about the world and the way it works.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas maybe people like you and I are more okay with not knowing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I think it just really bugs people to not know. Maybe they feel inferior or they don't want to feel dumb or something, or they just need to feel the confidence in their understanding of the world, but I don't know why.
Yeah, no. It's something that I've never really... I think that goes a lot, like, hand in hand with... like, people need some sort of meaning to life, you know what I mean? They need to know that what they're doing has a purpose or a point or something like that. And I know we possibly discussed this on the last podcast.
Very possibly.
But, like, I'm super okay with just accepting the fact that life is kind of pointless. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of awesome.
Yeah. The insignificance of our lives, like, actually kind of comforts me.
Yeah.
As opposed to terrifies me. I feel bad for the people that it does terrify.
Yeah.
But as far as I'm concerned, the meaning is to make it
meaningful
while we're here. Yeah. Like, and meaningful is just a concept.
Yeah.
That is part of our own subjective experience of reality. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, you get to decide.
Mm-hmm. You get to decide what makes your life meaningful.
Yeah.
You get to decide the meaning in your life, you know?
Yeah.
And that's awesome. And ultimately, it doesn't matter. So just do what you want.
Yeah.
Like, do what you think is meaningful.
Yes,
And that'll probably
totally.
be meaningful for the world then, you know? Like,
yes. This is totally a summarization, too, of, like, just a concept I came across one day. And I'm just regurgitating it in a way, but this idea really resonates with me.
yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring it back to that for a second. Like, oh, I probably heard this from someone or something somewhere, and I'm just like, yeah, that is the meaning of life. And it just stuck with me, and that's okay. It feels like my own thought now.
Yeah.
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 That's okay, I think.
I probably also, like, actually, I just heard it on a podcast today, actually.
No way.
Like, just talking about this whole thing being like, you're basically insignificant, but that is good, and that means you can do whatever you want. And, like, it's not an original thought, but it's a thought that I've thought through for sure.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, but yeah, I find comfort in that fact, and just knowing that it's... And I also find the comfort in the mysteries of life, you know? Like, the fact that we don't know what happens when you die. Like, that's comforting to me in a way, you know? Like...
Yeah.
I don't want to know.
this might be a weird and slightly inappropriate analogy, but that just made me think of, like, a naked woman. It's almost more exciting when she's not quite naked yet, and it leaves more to the imagination. Same thing with the mystery of life. Like, if we had really had everything totally uncovered, maybe it would just be bland and boring.
Yeah, it would, I think.
But, like, the mystery of life is a scantily clad women, or maybe well clad. She's probably still pretty well clad at this point. Are you following me?
Yeah, no,
I'm saying there's a
totally.
lot more to uncover. Like, she has barely undressed at all for us. We can see her ankles maybe at this point. I don't know. Maybe that's generous. But it leaves a lot to the imagination.
Yeah, it does.
Which is nice.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. I think, like I said, I think it would be weird if we knew some of the answers to these mysteries. Like, what was, like, could you imagine if they came out tomorrow and they're like, oh yeah, the meaning of life is blank. And you were just like, oh, fuck.
It's like, actually, the objective reason all of us exist
Yeah.
is this. It's like, oh, okay.
Fuck, what am I doing then?
That kind of
Like,
ruined everything
yeah,
for me.
exactly.
Yeah. Maybe it would. Yeah.
Yeah. But, like, it's kind of the whole thing is, like, you know, say we figure out what happens when you die. Say that the Christians got it right and there is a heaven and a hell. Would that really change the way you live?
Actually, probably.
Yeah.
If you proved God, and like creationism was the way,
Yeah.
call me if I can sell out or what. But if God proved himself and I could like live in a way that allowed me to live in heaven or hell for all of eternity, then yeah, I'll be okay. I'll play.
Which one are you going for, heaven or hell?
I want to live in heaven. That's a boring answer, but I want paradise, man. I want comfort. I love comfort and happiness.
Could you deal with an eternity of comfort?
I think that it's built into the deal that it doesn't get old, and you're just happy forever. Depends on your interpretation of heaven, I guess.
Yeah.
But I just always assumed it was like endlessly awesome.
Yeah. I mean, fair. Like, I feel like that would have to be built in. Like, could you, like, I feel like if you're in heaven, you are a interdimensional being, you know, who doesn't experience time in the same way that we do. That's the only way that it could be built in. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, okay.
So, like,
I can get behind that.
time is, like, meaningless to you. Because they're all eternity. Because eternity to us, as humans, that's a long time.
That's incomprehensible.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same way that infinity is incomprehensible to us. So, I mean, if heaven were to exist, I feel like you would have to be this being where time doesn't actually matter. Which is a possibility. That I'm not even saying that, like, because that could be a thing that happens when you die. You know, heaven and hell could be the way it goes.
We can't prove or disprove it. Yeah.
Exactly. Nobody can.
Yes.
And that's why when anybody says that they are 100% sure this is what happens when you die, they are full of shit.
Yes.
Even if they're atheists. If they're like, nothing happens when you die.
It seems pretty ignorant to me that, be like, yes, I am so sure of myself and what I have been told or read in my life that this is absolutely true. I feel like probably like a lot of atheists feel is like, if you really consider the facts, there is no reason to believe to have this blind faith based off this old book. That I don't know. That's why I don't live that way. If God proved himself, then I'd be like, oh, okay, I'm down. But that's part of the test, I guess.
Yeah.
But I'm not buying it.
No.
And so I choose not to live in that way.
Yeah. No, I agree. And, like, there's even people in the, you know, say the psychedelic community or whatever, who are like, no, this is what happens when you die, you know? It's like, I've experienced it on psychedelics. It's like, no.
It's equally as ignorant.
Yeah. It's like you experience a psychedelic trip. It can feel like, you know.
Yeah, maybe your ego died for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it may have felt like it. But
Yeah. It's not, you can't, like, that's still, and again, hey, maybe they're right. Who knows, really?
Yeah.
Like, we don't know, but it's just, I am very skeptical skeptical of people who are 100% sure, especially on that thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty much, well, okay, not anything. It's
Yeah.
okay to be sure about a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
That is objective in this world. Yeah, but not that.
I'm kind of envious of people who are so sure on things, though. Like I said again.
I was just thinking, I'm like, I think you said that.
Yeah.
But that's okay. But it would be nice.
Yeah. Because, like, I'm just not.
I'm like, yeah, same. It could be. I'm like, it could be this way. It could be that way. I don't know.
Yeah. And I feel like it makes it hard to not have a conversation with me sometimes. It's real easy to have a conversation with me because I can see your point and I'll take it. Like, I'll follow you down your point. But it makes it hard to have a conversation with me if you're looking for me to debate you.
Oh, yeah.
In any way, I guess. Because I see where people are coming from, and I can see why people the way that they are based on their experiences and stuff. Even the simple statement of, like, I've had this conversation probably a couple times at family dinners with random members of my family, where they're just so sure, they're like, blah blah blah, like, all white supremacists deserve to die and, like, we should kill them. And I'm like, whoa 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 whoa. Yeah. Can we just, like, look at their circumstances? Like, yes, they're acting in a despicable way.
Yes.
But do you know their life? Do you know how they were raised? Do you know the circumstances of why they're being the way they are? Like,
maybe, yeah, they were brought into a family where that was the case, and that's all they know about life, and they've been lied to about about other races, and, like, actually truly believe that there's something inherently wrong with them, and feel totally justified in the way they feel, and maybe they're still open to if they were able to escape that and get other, like, people who escaped from Westboro Baptist Church. There are a couple kids who have left the family after becoming enlightened to other perspectives and been like, no, I'm out of there, fuck that shit. Like, I realize how ridiculous that was now. But when you're completely brainwashed, yeah, I feel sorry for those people. That's the same as religion too.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, less extreme religion.
Yeah.
Than Westboro Baptist style.
Yeah. It's just like, it's in general, it's the problem with, like, fundamentalism, you know? Like, fundamentalism in general. Like, you can be fundamentalist about anything. You can be a fundamentalist conservative or whatever, or like, even it's happening kind of on, like, the opposite spectrum on the left now. You can be so married to the ideals of the left that you're kind of almost missing the point.
Yeah.
Which is, it's, like, weird to see.
I have seen that.
Yes.
As well.
Yes.
That makes me think of people who just know, no matter who the leader is or what the policies are, they're going to vote conservative, for example, like, every single time. That's just how they identify, and there's no straying from that. And I think that's probably a pretty silly way to be.
Yeah. And you can find it on the liberal side too, you know what I mean? It's weird.
Yeah. Yes.
It's kind of, it goes, like, to, like, I guess tribalism or whatever. You know, you don't really have a strong identity within yourself, so you're like, this is my identity. Maybe. Again, this is opinions from two not very opinionated guys.
We should have our own, like, hashtag or subtitle or something. Or maybe even jingle.
Anytime we get into, like, something like this, there's just a jingle that plays afterward.
Yeah, disclaimer of some sort, yeah. I thought about attempting the jingle for a second, and I was like, no, that's going to go really poorly.
I'll put the same disclaimer at the beginning of this episode.
Okay. That would be great.
Thoughts on life, or opinions on life from, I don't even know how it goes anymore, but
not very opinionated guys, or something along those lines. I'm sure you could clean it up.
Yeah, I could also just listen to the last podcast. Hey. It's right at the end, easy to find.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. We live in interesting times. Because I think more and more people are kind of searching for that, like, that identity or that tribe. Because it goes back to the whole thing of not really having a community.
That makes me think of how just life has become so convenient, relatively.
Yeah.
Then, from my understanding, you know, like 10,000 plus years ago, or 10,000 10,000 minus years ago, I guess is what I'm trying to say, is like everyone was their own farmer, and like everyone's prime objective in life was to like grow their own food, survive, and there basically wasn't a whole lot of time for anything else until that agriculture started, and then people were able to slowly over time become more and more specialized to certain tasks and to build technologies, and now we're at that was such a rough outline, but my point is we're at the point now where like life is so many times more convenient than it was thousands of years ago, that we have all this free time and choice in our lives, and it's not all set out for us, and we have to find a direction and choose one, and it's hard to know what you want when you have all these options.
Literally, you can do anything.
Yeah.
And you're told that, and like people say that to you and they mean it as like a comforting thing or a reassuring thing, like you can do anything you set your mind to. But that's fucking scary.
Yeah. That's maybe not just necessarily completely true, but it's a lot more true than it was some time ago.
Yeah. Like, yeah, to be fair, like no matter how much I want to fly, I'm never going to fly. Like, I mean, you know, without an airplane, but
yes,
actually I can even fly. Fuck.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I know what you mean, and I think again that's kind of why, like, we've evolved in this way of the people who came before us. You know, we're evolved in a way that there's supposed to be struggle, and we're supposed to be struggling for life, and every moment of life we're supposed to be like animals, you know. Every moment of life is supposed to be a struggle, you know. That's what our meaning is supposed to be. But we've like evolved into these beings who can not only like think about our lives and the meaning of our lives, but we still have all these animal instincts, you know, because that's the way we evolved. And
I've heard that we like, am I going to say this right? I don't know. Our environment has advanced, or our mental state has advanced. Our kind of, okay, let me start one more time. Our like cerebral state has evolved faster than our like primitive state, and our instincts haven't caught up to our like cerebral societies that we live in now, and there's maybe some internal conflict within people, like trying to be civilized and classy versus being totally primitive and just purely based acting and behaving purely off of instincts. And it's an interesting balance to try to strike. Well, like we need to eat and fuck and poop and all this shit, but we're also trying to like convince ourselves that we're these like
that we're better than that.
Yeah, we're these cerebral, classy like humans, and we do have culture, and there is a lot of that going on. But like, it's interesting to think about the balance.
I think that our like evolutionary progress hasn't caught up to our like societal progress. Yeah,
you said it way better.
Yeah,
than I said like 200 words, and you said it better in like 5.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's just like it's the same. Like that's why we have so much like anxiety and stuff. Even, you know what I mean? Like we're constantly bombarded with things that are telling us that we should be in this like fight or flight mode, but there's no actual danger, you know. So like we're constantly. That's why stress is such a bad thing, right? Because stress, when you're stressed out like that, it's basically activating your fight or flight response, which when that is activated, it shuts down your immune system, because you don't need your immune system when you're fighting a tiger.
Oh, just resources are being allocated.
Yeah, they're being allocated differently, right? But like that's what stress is. Like that's what it activates those responses in us, and we're constantly stressed now because that's just like life, you know, like work, and it's just, like and then we also have like the media and shit like that, which is like purposely hijacking our like evolutionary shit to sell us stuff.
Yeah.
And it's just all so weird and fucked up and like, but like cool and normal and I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just also, life is just a giant contradiction, I find.
Oh, absolutely. You can see examples of that. So many stark examples of that every day that I can think of zero of right now, but I know what you mean.
Yeah, well, like, just one is life is both the easiest and the hardest thing that you're ever going to do.
Yeah. It's true.
Because, like, really all you have to do is live.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're doing it right now.
It sounds simple.
Yeah.
But think of the hardest things you've ever had to do in your life, and that's also part of it.
Yeah, that's also part of living. But, like, really, it's just existing. You put food in your mouth and you just do things.
Yeah.
It's pretty easy, but it's hard as shit.
It's true.
Yeah. So, as I pet this cat in front of me, I'm like, do I wish my life was like yours? Because it seems pretty sweet, but also, I think it's only sweet because cats don't realize that, there's anything else than being a cat.
Yeah. Yeah, you'd also be giving up a lot.
Well, yeah, being a human's awesome. Like, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But I'm sure you get those moments where you're like, I just wish it was all simpler.
Oh, totally.
I wish I was just a cat. People just pet me. I just
people
fuck
say
with
that
shit
all the time.
Yeah. But how many people actually want to be a cat? How many people do you think, if they could be a cat, if you say could be a cat and you had one day to change back from being a cat, how long do you think you would last being a cat?
Oh, like after 24 hours, then
and you had
it's
to decide.
Too late and you were a cat forever.
You had to decide after 24 hours. You get 24 hours to be
Okay.
a cat. And after 24 hours, you have to decide. I bet 99% of people
Oh, okay. I see. Okay.
would not be a cat for the rest of their lives.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Maybe we underestimate them,
Maybe.
but there's probably not as much deep thought that goes into things.
Mm-mm.
It causes... If you had some sort of, like, pain to beauty ratio, it's like ours is much greater for sure.
Mm-hmm.
There's higher highs but lower lows, and the cat's is probably, some
Very tiny.
very tiny lows,
Yeah.
very tiny highs.
Or they're just happening so fast. You freak out a cat and they're like, and they run away, and then they'll, like, 2 seconds later, they're completely
baseline.
normal. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Whereas someone freaks you out when you're a kid and you carry lasting trauma for like the rest of your life, and it never quite is normal again.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I think, actually, it's kind of what certain drugs do, or alcohol does, is they kind of take those high highs and those low lows and they just smush them together.
That's what a compressor does.
Yeah, that's what a compressor does. And for those of you listening to this podcast, it has been compressed.
Oh, yeah. Compression. So you have a jingle for compression.
That's because compression is dope.
Oh, so helpful.
Yeah. Anyways. Enough music talk.
So alcohol is the compressor of feeling.
Of feelings.
Yes.
Alcohol is the compressor of your life. Not just alcohol,
Could be
also
argued.
weed sometimes.
Yeah.
Like,
if it doesn't make you horrendously anxious like it does me, it could,
it does. It has different effects on everybody, right? So
It's weird because it just changed one day.
really,
Yeah, it was great for a long time, and then it slowly became less great, and then it became horrible, which was nice.
yeah,
Yeah, I don't smoke weed at all anymore
yeah.
because it changed and it just doesn't feel good anymore, and I don't like it.
Is it just THC stuff or?
Yeah,
CBD?
well, CBD's great.
Yeah, love CBD.
Yeah, THC is the enemy
Yeah.
for me. And sometimes I wish it wasn't, but also I've become a lot more productive
Yeah,
since I stopped, like I was saying. So
Yeah. The cool thing about, like, I remember the first time that I tried just a straight CBD strain, like it was just CBD, there was no THC. I woke up in the middle of the night and I was like very anxious about something. Like sometimes it used to happen, not as much anymore, but I used to get like wake up in the middle of the night and just be like, thoughts and like get super fucking anxious about something and I could not get back to sleep and I would just stress for hours in my bed being like Anyways, usually what I would do in those moments is I would smoke weed and try and fall back asleep. I had no regular weed. I only had this CBD strain that I had bought that I just wanted to try out or whatever. I smoked it, I inhaled it, and like instantly as I exhaled it, like all my anxiety just kind of like melted away. And I was like, but I wasn't high or anything. It's just, it just took that edge off. And it was crazy. Like, I never expected there would be anything that would just take away that, like, inner chatter, that, like, dialogue that's constantly there being like, just, like, quietened that, like, right down. And just, like, that anxiety was completely gone. And I was, like, chill.
I totally believe that. Yeah.
It's never have I experienced something like that, so.
Yeah. That's anecdotally, that's what I hear. It's very effective for anxiety.
Yeah. I've actually heard, this isn't an original thought, but I've heard the reason that is that anxiety is actually caused by inflammation in the body.
Oh.
And since CBD reduces...
It's also anti-inflammation. Right?
Yeah, it actually that's why it has anti-anxiety effects.
Oh, I've never heard about a link between inflammation and anxiety. That's interesting.
This is brought to you by the Joe Rogan podcast, just so
okay.
you know.
I will look into it more.
I can source that information. I don't know how legit it is, but that is something that I have heard. So
this is a sample size of one, just me with my anxiety. Like, I have struggled with pretty crazy anxiety over the last number of years, and it has become a lot more managed. I should say anxiety, the word anxiety means something different to a lot of people. I should say panic. Like, I experience panic at different magnitudes. And I haven't had a crazy panic attack in a long time. But there's different levels to it. You know what I mean? Like, there's different, intensities.
There's like, I know what you mean, because I never really knew what people meant by panic attack until I had a panic attack.
That's always how it is. You don't get it until you experience it, and you can be like, oh, that was fucking awful.
Yeah, it was like, it was one of the, I was just like, I was at work, and it just like hit me, and I was like, what the, like, my breathing was fucked, like, I couldn't catch my breath.
Probably your heart.
Like, my heart was bracing.
Yeah.
And just not only that, but like, it was just my mental state just went into like a crazy dark place where I was like, if this is what this is, like, I get it. Like, I get why this is so, like, everything seemed so incredibly, like, pointless and gray. You know what I mean? Like, it was
There's this horrible sense of dread.
Yeah, dread.
And often people think they're dying when they have a panic attack.
It was just so, and I've maybe had one other since then. But, yeah, that was, going through that experience actually helped me be more sympathetic to people who do say they struggle with anxiety and panic attacks and stuff like that.
It is terrible.
Yeah, because until you really experience it, you don't know.
You couldn't,
Yeah. And
you'll know one if you have one.
Yeah, exactly.
If you've never had one, just wait.
Yeah.
It's kind of sick to laugh about, because literally, like, you may think you're dying in the moment.
It's absolutely terrible.
Yes,
but having been...
it's hard to understand. If you haven't had one, you will know if you have had one.
Yeah. And it just made me completely more sympathetic to people who struggle with more severe mental health than I do. Because everybody struggles with their mental health, I feel.
Yeah, to some degree.
It's to varying degrees,
Yeah, just when you were talking about the link, but potential link between inflammation and anxiety, And that made me remember that, like, though to a smaller scale, not a full-blown panic attack, but like to some medium-level panic, I swear there's some sort of correlation with my gut health and like gas at the moment, or slash indigestion potentially, and anxiety. I've noticed a strong correlation there, and it's something I'd really want to understand more of, even though I haven't gone to see my doctor in many years.
Yeah.
But I swear, for me at least personally, there is a correlation between panic and like gas and what's going on in my gut.
That makes sense, because like we barely know anything about, like we don't know that much about the human body and how we work, and we know even less about the brain, but we're just finding out some stuff like there's actually more neurons in your stomach
Neurons
in your stomach than there are in your brain, I think.
No.
Yeah. Neuron receptors, maybe. But yeah, there's neuron receptors in your stomach. What? Yeah. And there's also serotonin receptors in your stomach.
What?
Yeah.
I don't think I've heard about this.
Yeah. This is again brought to you by the Joe Rogan podcast.
Yeah, again, further research is needed, but I'm excited about the prospect of the idea.
I would definitely, if you are listening to this, I would definitely do your own research.
You have to fact check everything we just said.
Yeah. I don't, this is a very unprofessional podcast. I do not have a fact checker. You need to be your own fact checker, but I'm hoping to encourage you along the way of intellectual stimulation.
Yes. Because that's a very interesting thought to me. Yeah. And it makes me want to learn more about it, because I've never heard about neurons or receptors in the stomach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like a possibility of there being more in your stomach than there is in your brain, which is crazy. And apparently also your heart has these same receptors as well. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to look that up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's... the body is this weird complex machine that, like, we just don't even understand.
I feel like we understand a very impressive amount.
Oh, yeah.
I just... Yeah. There's a long way to go.
Oh, yeah.
As with many fields in science.
Well, especially with the brain. And, like... How could you?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's the most mysterious organ.
Probably, yeah. Because what is consciousness? Like, what are you? What is Josh? You know?
Yeah.
Like,
it's so funny how it's so hard to describe, how to define consciousness.
Yeah.
It has been attempted as far back as, like, I want to say Greek philosophers and stuff, but like nothing everyone to this day has really been able to agree on.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's crazy because. Like, I think it's that thing again that battles between our primal selves with our evolved selves, you know? Because sometimes you find yourself just acting in a way that you know you shouldn't. You're telling yourself as you're doing the thing, you shouldn't be doing this. This isn't something that you should do. Even if it's, say, just as an example, you're eating a cookie and you're like, you shouldn't eat that cookie. That cookie's bad for you or whatever. But you just reach for that cookie and you put that cookie in your mouth and you eat it. But you know you shouldn't, you know? Yep. Like, that's a very basic example, but like...
I know what you mean. have clear memories of being like, I know I shouldn't do this thing I'm about to do, and I'm fully aware that I'm about to do it. I know I shouldn't, but here I go.
Yeah, and then you do it.
Yeah.
And then you do it, and you're like, that was a bad idea.
Why do we allow that to happen? Maybe it's the poor discipline.
I just think, like, I just don't, like, know how much control we actually have, you know what I mean? Like... Yeah, we can observe our actions, and those observations affect our actions in the future, but do they affect our actions in the moment?
Well, definitely, to some degree, with some things.
Yeah.
I don't know, there's, like, overriding forces, like addiction.
Yeah.
For sure. Like, cigarettes, I guess I vape.
Yeah.
The same kind of thing. I'm sure... Most people, after they've smoked cigarettes for long enough, you know for sure this is true, because like they know they should quit, but they can't.
I know what you mean about the smoking though, because I used to smoke, And that was one of the hardest things to stop doing.
Yeah, that's what they say.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is weird.
It's
but
weird how addiction like overrides your rational decision making.
yeah, because I knew it's bad for me. Everybody at this point knows that smoking is terrible for you, but look how many people smoke.
Yeah.
And like, you don't really get that much from it, which is crazy. It's not pleasant. I got to the point where basically the reason I stopped is because smoking was just literally unpleasant.
Yeah?
Yeah. But even then, I continued a little bit after that, so.
Totally. Well, yeah, I was definitely addicted to weed.
Yeah.
Even towards the end when it just like, I would keep trying, but it made me feel like shit every time. I would keep doing it, being like, oh, maybe it'll be fun this time. Maybe it'll make me feel good this time. And it took a long time of nopes to finally make a difference. Yeah.
I've definitely had an unhealthy relationship with weed before, where it was like, I am using this in an unhealthy way. And it was an addiction, you know? It was like, but it was more of an escape at that point in my life.
You don't think it was addiction?
Sorry?
You feel convinced it was an addiction?
No, it was an addiction.
Oh, it was.
It was, for sure. But the reason it was an addiction is because it was an escape.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, I heard it wasn't.
Oh no! It was
Instead of was and.
Yeah, it was an addiction.
Yes.
But the reason is because an escape. It made all the feelings go away. You know, so it would be like. Even at the time, like, we were smoking weed at work because my boss was okay with it.
No way.
Yeah. So,
I tried once at my old job.
Yeah.
Ever, and I was doing an inventory at the time. And it was late and like nobody was there, and I'd never done this at work before. And I go outside and do it just because I'm like, okay, let's see what happens. And I go back inside, try to start counting again. And I just like sit there for a full minute, and then I was like, okay, I'm gonna finish this tomorrow. I have to go home.
This is gonna be so wrong if I continue this.
Yes, and that was the first and last time I smoked weed at work.
Yeah, yeah, my
old job, not current job.
Yeah,
say that.
Yeah, my old job. My boss smoked weed, so we could just smoke weed. So we would smoke weed.
That is so crazy to me.
Yeah, we smoke weed 2 or 3 times in one day.
Yeah.
And then you'd just go home and keep smoking weed. And, you know, there was times, like, at the highest point of my weed smoking, I went through a 1/4 ounce of weed in 3 days.
No way.
To myself.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was at the height. That was at the worst that it ever was.
Wow.
Yeah.
So half in like a week, pretty much.
Yeah.
6-7 days.
Yeah.
Wow.
Just to put that into perspective, now I'll maybe go through an 1/8 in a month.
Well, yep, that's a big difference.
And that's between 2 of us as well smoking weed.
So that's a 1/4 in about 2 months versus 3 days.
And that's for 2 people too.
Okay. Damn. Yeah.
So, yeah,
that sounds a lot healthier to me. Yeah.
It's like I got to the point where I don't feel like I can just not smoke weed, you know, and I don't think about it. It's not like, oh, I'm like, it'd be cool if I was high right now, ha ha ha. Whereas like before it'd be like I need to be high to do anything.
Yeah.
But then I also realized that that's because I was so socially awkward at those times, and I was like, oh, why am I so social, or why don't people want to talk to me? It's because people would try and talk to me, and I would just be like, oh yeah, okay, you know, like 1-word answers, you know, because I was high and I couldn't think of anything to say. Like,
I remember the first time we did LSD together, and I tried. Like it was probably just like starting to kick in for all of us, or maybe a bit after that, and I don't know what I asked you, but I asked you some kind of question, and I know I can't. This is just audio, but you did this motion with your hand, like words coming out of your mouth, and all you could do was acid. And I was like, I understand, it's okay. And maybe that's an exception. It can be pretty hard to articulate yourself on acid, but it reminded me of that.
Yeah, that's one of the hardest things to articulate yourself.
It was a very clear memory for me. Just blah 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 blah. Cody, what? Acid. you're trying to tell me like I just can't. I don't have the words right now.
Yeah, it's and that used to be me on weed, right? And, like I recognize that in myself now too, is that like I am a socially awkward person normally, so weed accentuates that. You know what I mean? Like weed kind of like almost is just an accentuator of things. If you're lazy, it's going to make you more lazy. If you have habits of social awkwardness, it's going to make you more socially awkward, you know? I feel like that's kind of what it does. It's
weird. I don't feel like I have like anxiety underlying all the time. And it's not like the only time I feel anxiety if it's I smoke weed. I can have really bad time completely sober. But I don't know why it brings it out in me. Yes, I guess I'm challenging your theory a little bit, but I definitely know what you mean.
Yeah.
Too. Some people smoke it and then have like a crazy workout whereas usually when you think of it, you think of people being lazy and chill. And
it could also be the strain of weed too.
Yeah.
You know, like sativa versus indica, and like. The thing is with weed being legal now and it being legal for the full year, we're learning more and more about it, you know, and what effects it kind of has on the body. Whereas before, when you were smoking weed, it was just you bought weed, and your dealer was like,
"You got what you got.
Here's your weed." So I mean, like, you never really knew what you were getting.
Yeah, they may tell you the strain name, but even then, like.
Yeah.
Is that accurate?
Yeah. Even then, somebody told them that, and somebody told them that, and it's basically a game of telephone at that point. And also, they are still just trying to sell you weed.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they're gonna say a lot of things and be like, "Buy this weed, it's blah," or "This is the best shit I've ever smoked," or whatever. Like,
I do remember one time this one dealer sold me this sour diesel. This one time, and I swear it was different than everything else I had before or after that, just because its smell was so much more potent than any other weed I've ever seen, if I'm recalling correctly. And like its effects were so much stronger than anything else too. So that time I believe it was true. And he charged more for it and everything, and maybe that was just all placebo, but I really think that was an exceptional strain that one time. But everything else I didn't really notice. I'm sure someone like knows a lot about what kind of strains we tend to get here in the black market and stuff. Like from what I've heard, I think we get a lot of Kush.
Stuff from BC probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I'd be curious if we could retroactively go and be like, what strains were sold where, and like, what were they like?
I think there's a lot of like indicas going around in the black market, because I remember the first time that I smoked a sativa that I knew was a sativa. I was like, oh, it's this aspect of weed. It's the aspect of weed where you smoke it and you're like, oh, I can go clean a bunch of shit. You know, it like energizes you a little bit. You're like, I want to do things, and you get. It's almost like, you know, the only downside to it is like, yeah, you start to clean stuff, but you get caught up and you get distracted easily is what I'm trying to say. With stupid stuff. You're like cleaning stuff and then you see your CDs are out of order and you're like, I'm going to organize these CDs for half an hour. Like,
I don't think I do well with sativas.
No.
I've even questioned like how big is the difference between sativa and indica. You know, that's always what people say. That's always what you hear about, the difference in between them is sativa's the stimulating and indica is the indicouch and more sedating. But like, how much truth is there to that? I'm curious if there are like legit studies on that kind of thing. Yeah.
I mean, it's still a relatively new thing, right? I feel like the longer it is legal, the more and more information we're going to get about it, because it's actually okay to study it now, you know?
Totally.
Have you like done edibles very much in your
Oh,
life?
like much earlier on, but I realized how out of hand they could
Yeah.
get, and so now I'm kind of terrified of them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's fair.
definitely a handful of times, for sure. In fact, accidentally one time, when I had to leave on a tour, I was living with some roommates, and one guy dealt weed to people and was also really good at cooking and slash baking, and he baked these weed brownies that I did not know were weed brownies, and I had a couple because they were not labeled or anything, and maybe it's my fault and bad karma just for like eating somebody else's random brownies in the fridge. There were a lot of them though, and I didn't have that much, and they were quite strong, and even though I was smoking a bunch of weed at that point in my life, like
Mm-hmm.
when it started to kick in, I didn't recognize it for what it was. I'm like, there's something wrong with me. Like, I'm having some sort of medical emergency or something. And I was like concerned, and I was going to like call someone. Be like, hey, I think something is wrong. And until that roommate came home and saw me on the couch, just like sprawled out and like all confused. And he's like, did you eat those brownies in the fridge? And then I found out what had happened. And I had to leave for a tour like right away. And so I got there and I was like, oh, I'm so sorry, like I had no idea I was gonna get so high, that I was gonna get high at all.
I fully intended to be 100% sober.
Yeah, but now I'm really high.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
yeah, I guess they're not that bad.
edibles are a different thing. Like, I've never been as high as I have off of just smoking weed as I have off of eating just a single brownie one
I
time.
believe that.
Like, so high that like I'm trying to do something, like even just watch something, but I just stare at my computer screen for like 45 minutes, just being like, "Durr."
Yeah.
Then like, I need to lay down now.
Yeah. Oh god.
Yeah. Also, apparently, when actually you ingest weed like that, it's actually a different kind of drug. It's not.
I think I've heard about this.
Yeah, the way that your stomach metabolizes it, it turns it into something else. I forget what it's called. It's like 5-hydroxy. There's a scientific name for it, but it actually is. It is something different, which is kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I loosely understand that from all the research I've done on drugs.
yeah.
I get it.
Mm-hmm. It's just know way more information about drugs and stuff because I was very curious about it because that whole thing, you've told all your life that weed is bad, and then you smoke weed and you're like, what? This is it? Are you serious? Like, and then you're like, what else have they been lying to me about?
Yeah.
And went on a adventure for a while. And drugs are interesting things.
Very. To be used responsibly.
Yes. Cautiously,
Yes.
responsibly. Do your research. Not saying that I always use them responsibly.
Yeah.
But so I'm not trying to shame anybody if you don't. Like, you're an adult, do your thing.
Yes.
But I would
Totally.
err on the side of caution.
Yes.
Because I also I don't know anybody personally, but I know basically friends of friends.
Yes.
Who, they'd taken maybe a psychedelic and they just kind of never recovered from that.
Ugh.
Like, full on, basically psychotic break after taking acid or
Oh.
something like that.
Ben, it actually was acid?
Yeah.
In this
It
case?
was
Yeah, I
actual,
guess.
It was actual acid that everybody else had done, and everybody but this person just kind of stayed. And that happens if you are predisposed to
That's
mental
what
health
I've
issues.
heard is
yeah.
physically, if you actually are taking what you think you're taking, if it's like legit LSD,
Mhm.
it's physically a very safe substance.
Mhm.
But that's what I've also heard is if you're predisposed to certain mental conditions, especially things like schizophrenia,
Schizophrenia,
even depression, other mental health things, then that can exacerbate that or bring it about sooner than it would have manifested.
Sooner, yeah.
Yes.
It's like, the thing is, like, these people, they're probably likely going to have schizophrenia anyway.
At some point, yeah.
At some point in their life. But weed does the same thing. Weed can quicken the symptoms of schizophrenia or whatever, or enhance it, or make them become apparent more soon in life. So that's why, you really have to be just kind of aware of yourself, aware of your own mental state.
Totally.
And just, it's the best advice, I think, that can be given when dealing with drugs. Be very aware of yourself. And
yes. Yeah, because everyone's different. There is no one-size-fits-all answer for these things.
Yeah. And also, start small.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Don't go balls to the wall.
Test your shit.
Yeah.
Start with small doses. Increase incrementally.
Yeah.
Be patient.
Be patient.
Or you're going to have potentially a really, really terrible time.
Or even potentially a really awesome time, but it's like the potential is there, but you don't want to roll those dice. Yeah. So, yeah, it's
Although there can anytime when I recall my psychedelic experiences, there have been like very low lows and very high highs all within the same trip, and it seems to be this like rotating and ever evolving process the whole way through. It's not just like one big orgasmic great time or one super horrible terrible time. Like the whole time it changes and it shifts, and it's so many different experiences
all at once.
Yeah.
And it also completely is dependent on the psychedelic you're taking. Like, I find with acid, it's more I'm less predisposed to go into a negative space. It's more just like, wow, this is cool. Wow, things are cool. Wow.
Yeah.
This is fucking cool. Whereas mushrooms, it's like, wow, this is cool. Oh my god, my life. Wow, this is cool. Like, oh my god, I'm such a piece of shit. Like,
yes.
Yeah.
Out of all the psychedelics I've tried, I've had the worst time on mushrooms.
Yeah.
That's true.
It's the only thing that I've had an actual full-on, like, this is a bad trip.
Yeah.
And it's only ever happened to me once.
Yeah, that's fortunate.
Yeah. And that was my fault. I was young, like 18 or 19, and I took mushrooms in my parents' house.
Oh, my goodness.
Well, my parents were home.
Oh, my goodness.
And there was 3 of us, and we're like, we'll just stay in Cody's room, and then, once we start feeling high, we'll just go outside and walk around.
Oh, sounds so easy.
Started getting high, went outside, it was winter, it was cold, we walked to the end of the block, someone I was with threw up, and we all started freaking out and turned around and went back to my house. And then closed my door. And then things just got weird there because we were encased in this room.
Yeah, you don't want to feel trapped.
Yeah. And yeah, long story short, it wasn't like a world-destroying bad trip, but it was a bad trip.
Yeah.
So it didn't affect my mushroom use in future. So.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, this just keeps going on to new tangents. But I want to say that, well, at least I thought for a long time that psychedelics had helped me cope with regular everyday life anxiety, and I would like to believe that because I've had to work through those times on psychedelics, and it kind of really makes you confront it. And so I want to think that psychedelics have helped me with everyday life anxiety, but now lately I've started to question, like, has it actually made it worse? Has it made it more apparent what anxiety it is, and it's like easier to experience? I don't know about that anymore. I want to believe the first one.
I mean, I feel like I can say that psychedelics have definitely helped me in my life, but I think the main reason, or the main way that they have helped me in my life, is that they have just given me perspective. They haven't really helped me. They just kind of, they've given me perspective. They made me realize that like, things aren't so bad, you know? Like, especially, so, DMT, there was one particular DMT trip that I experienced where basically, you know how people say they, oh, I lived like 20 years of a different life or whatever.
Yes.
And it wasn't exactly that, but it was like that. But not in the way that people, when they say that, you would assume it. It was more like these things were flashing through my head rapidly, and it was like this life. And I experienced I felt like what it would feel like if all my friends died and I was the only one alive or something like that, So I experienced all this stuff just in a very short period of time. And it just I don't know, it just really gave me perspective. And that's like the one thing that I can attribute to psychedelics for sure. Anything else, not so sure on, other than good times and cool experiences and cool thoughts, but that one for sure. That was a big one, actually. So,
nice. That is the one, I guess, recurring theme I notice through psychedelic trips is that I always end up asking myself these tough questions and thinking about things in a new light and being reminded of what's important again. It's like a perspective resetter or refresher every time, and I'm it's always does feel a little bit enlightening in a way every time, because it brings you back to things you haven't thought of in a while if you don't use them all the time, that's what I have found.
And I definitely agree with that. And the thing is an interesting thing about psychedelics is you usually feel good the next day,
That's nice. It's not like you're using this gross chemical that's gonna give you a horrible hangover.
Usually you're tired because usually you're up for pretty late and stuff if you can sleep, but you still feel just good, especially if you've really I found some of the most enlightening psychedelic experiences have been ones that I've done on my own or
it's a whole different dynamic.
Where I'm just lying on my bed with my some music and my own thoughts and stuff like that, and I'm just thinking about stuff, and those have been some of the most rewarding experiences that I think I've had on psychedelics. So
yes, I understand how having other people there totally changes things up.
It just kind of adds another element, am I being weird, or should I interact with this person?
Fuck! I don't know if we've ever talked about this before, but there was one time we did acid together, or maybe I have mentioned it, but it came back to me so crazy when you said you're worried about being weird, and I remember one time, I was just trying to be funny in the moment or something, and I said very aggressively to you, I want to make you come. And there were a few other people with us, and the whole room just got quiet, and I'm sure it's just internal, and maybe everyone didn't take it how I think they did, but it was so quiet after that. I was just oh no, it was supposed to be a joke, but I couldn't say that either. Because everything was so weird. I'm fuck.
That's the amount of miscommunications that I've had on acid. Where you start talking to people and you think you're on the same page, but then they say something where it's incredibly apparent that you're just not on the same page at all.
Absolutely, 100%. Yes.
Yeah, you're just so in your own world on psychedelics that sometimes it's just
Yes. Your mind is taking you on a trip.
That's why that's called a trip, I guess. So. Anyways, on that note, we should probably close this out.
Cool.
Any final things you would like to say, Josh?
Oh, man. No.
If you liked this episode of the podcast, why not leave a review? You can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, and Google Play. For up-to-date information on the podcast, follow us on Facebook and Twitter.
You can find us at Froggy Style Productions. That's Frog, the letter E, Style Productions. For more ways to support the show, visit fsproductions.ca.